A few years ago, there was a video that went around the internet that became very popular, and it was of a young couple in Tennessee named Steve and Heather. Now, Steve was fighting kidney disease for 14 years and had been waiting a long time for a kidney transplant that would save his life. He was also a big baseball fan and loved collecting baseball cards. So one day, his wife Heather decided to give him some cards to cheer him up. So he opened up the pack and he's looking through the cards, kind of reading off the names, and he comes to a card that has his own name and picture on it. So curious, he flips it over and starts to read what's on the back, full of baseball puns. But he gets to a point where he becomes choked up, starts to cry a little bit before he can continue, saying that he's going to get a kidney, that transplant that's needed to save his life. And the donor is his wife. Heather is the match. And so this is just a beautiful example of what a loving relationship can look like. Giving of oneself for the other. And it brings life. It enlivens that relationship. So whether this is between spouses or parents and children, grandparents and grandchildren, between good friends, right? A good relationship has give and take, and that it brings life to people. And we know that at the opposite side, if one person is always taking and never receiving, they're just always taking, that can destroy a relationship and bring it down. So all these good relationships mirror, though, that one perfect relationship of love that's in the Holy Trinity, where God the Father from all time has been giving himself over to the Son. Everything that he has, everything that he is, given to the Son out of love. And then the Son receives that. And in return, he gives everything back to the Father. Everything that he has, everything that he is, his whole self. And this eternal exchange goes on between the Father and Son of love. And that love is so strong, it's the Holy Spirit. And that is what the fire of the Trinity is about. This relationship of love. So all of us that are baptized, we're called into this relationship. That's part of what being baptized is. And so how do we live that out? How do we enter in a real way into this exchange of love between the Father and the Son? And I would say Mary is an example for us, because this is what she did her whole life. From the beginning, God had created her to be free from sin. So she had done nothing to earn that. It was just a free gift from God, and she received it. And her whole life as she was growing up, as a young person until she got older, is just giving and is receiving God and giving herself back to him. All the way till the Annunciation, when the angel appears to her and gives her a message saying, "You are going to be the mother of God." And so she receives that message, receives that gift from God, and her response is to give a gift of herself back, right? She says yes, and she even gives of her own body. So she conceives by the Holy Spirit, and now Jesus, the second person of the Trinity, is dwelling within her. And it's a beautiful relationship of love between mother and child, like we all had as little babies in our mother's womb. It's that exchange, just even on a very natural level. The mother is giving of herself. By her very blood, she's giving oxygen and nutrients to the baby and taking away the waste, helping the baby to stay healthy and alive and to grow. So this is what Mary does. She's giving her very self to Jesus, and then he in return is giving his presence to her, right? So even at this very basic level, there's this exchange of love. And that continues on. She bears a son at Christmas, which has been 40 days now already. It goes by fast. But now it's the presentation. So to fulfill all the commands of the law, all the customs of the Jewish people, Mary and Joseph bring Jesus to the temple to present him back to the Father, right? So this gift that she had received of a child, she now gives back to God in love. And God receives that, God the Father receives that, and then gives Jesus back to Mary and Joseph, right? He stays with them. They go back to their home in Nazareth, where he lives. He grows up. They have a family relationship. Must be good because they're the Holy Family, so they had a good relationship, I hope. And so this continues on throughout the rest of their lives together. And part of that is the education of Jesus, right? We hear that he grows in wisdom and knowledge and grace. And so I'm sure it wasn't just Joseph teaching him how to build a table, but also Mary teaching him about life, how to pray in the faith. And so this too is a good example for us as Christian parents. Here at St. Peter's, we're very blessed to have our own Catholic school. And as we kick off Catholic Schools Week, it's a good reminder that it's there and all the benefits for the children that attend, but also for the parish. And we've heard so many times about how the smaller class sizes and some of the accelerated classes can help students be more successful and get ahead. They learn a lot in math and science and all the other traditional school subjects. But they also have religion class where they learn about their faith and can grow in their faith. The priests are there to be able to help educate them. Going to Mass and receiving the sacraments, these are all beautiful things provided by a Catholic education. But I would say that maybe even more important than all of that is how they learn to receive God's love. This is throughout the whole school. God is there, and they can receive God's love in all that they do. And then learn how to give a gift of themselves back to God, back to one another, their teachers and classmates. And so if you have school-age children, it just is an invitation to prayer. Is this what God is calling you to send the children to St. Peter's perhaps? And if it is, if that's your discernment, I mean, there's so many resources available to help with financial aid and other ways to make that a possibility. Okay. But for all of us, no matter what, even if we have school-age children or not, there's an opportunity right now in front of each one of us to enter into this relationship with God. We're not going to have to go anywhere. It's going to happen right here, in a few moments right behind me on the altar. So in this Mass, like all the other Masses the last 2,000 years back to the Last Supper, is Jesus giving himself to the Father. In some ways, the language is a representation of that sacrifice. It's that one true sacrifice of Jesus where he gave of himself on the cross. First at the Last Supper, offering bread and wine in his very own body and blood. That was then fulfilled on the cross, pouring himself out for each one of us so that we could have life, God's life within us. And so when this happens at Mass, this is an opportunity for us to then enter more deeply into that exchange of love between God the Father and God the Son. And so that's a choice that each one of you have to make today. A choice I have to make. Am I going to enter into it? Are you going to enter into this relationship and give yourself over like Mary did? Are you going to enter into that divine love between Father and Son? And his promise for those who do, for those who enter into it, is that he will come and dwell among you.